How's it going? This channel is for people who want to learn their favourite songs fast using easy methods that can be applied to any piece. If you'd like a free guide I've made of the most common chords for every key, there's a download link in the description. It makes learning any song 10 times easier. Let me know if you have any questions. This is how you play Beach House Beyond Love on piano. One of my favourite beach house songs. It's kind of relaxing to play once you know how. One little thing before we start, I'm teaching you how to play the way I play it in my cover. I'll link that below if you haven't seen it already, but it may not be exactly similar to the original. There might be slight differences. I'm playing it a bit slower and the chord patterns might be a bit changed, but it's still pretty much the same and exactly recognizable and in the same key as well, which is B major. So yeah, and the reason it's kind of so different as well compared to my other ones, it's kind of a difficult enough song to break down in structure because there's so many layers weaving in and out, and the vocals kind of just drift in with the instrumentals. That's just how I pick it up listening to it anyway. It's probably what makes the song really good, but just pinning down like actual verse, chorus, intro, outro is pretty difficult on this. I would also recommend downloading this PDF thing. I've put it in the description, but it gives you the chords with the lyrics to follow, and just really handy to have that in front of you. The good thing about this is that it just revolves around 4 chords, and we're mainly going to be using 3, which is B major, E major and F sharp, and then the 4th chord is C sharp minor. So only 4 chords in it. It's just the arrangement of it kind of switches up. That's why I printed out that thing so it's easy to follow. And then the last thing I'll say just before getting into this, I'd recommend just listening to the tune loads and being really familiar with where everything comes in terms of the vocals and just even the instrumentals and stuff. When you know exactly when everything is coming in, it makes this a lot easier to learn. I know it seems obvious, but for this song in particular, since it's very kind of layered up and the layers often overlap with each other and all that stuff. So yeah, once you've done that and you're like really familiar with the song, the first place you'll start, I should say, is the intro, which this is kind of the basis of the whole tune. Once you know this, I think the rest of the song pretty much builds itself around this. So I've kind of split the intro up into 2 parts. Part 1 and 2, you'll see later on why, but for the moment we'll just play part 1 of the intro. Now these chords are E major, B major, F sharp major, and then it goes back to B, and then back to E. So get in the habit of doing that progression, because that actually repeats for the verses as well. So it goes, and once you have those kind of block chords in place, obviously the distinctive synth riff, that comes in when you're resting on F sharp. So if we play it again, jump in from B to F sharp, and then and what I like to do is I kind of play these chords softly and then hit those 2 notes like fairly hard. So they're just E and D sharp, and then back kind of softly, just to make that stand out, because that's a very like evident part of the whole instrumental track, I think. So when you know those chords, just how the left hand I play that, I'm playing it throughout the whole song pretty lightly. Like, it's not like it is in the left hand video I made, like that 5-minute video teaching you a technique on how to apply it to any song. You can apply it to this song as well, really, but you'd want to be playing it a lot softer. I've linked that video down below if anyone hasn't seen it. It's very handy to just play with any song. But for this one, it's a lot lighter. The pattern I'm kind of doing is very simple. It's just pressing down the chord as it is, and then just pressing the the bottom note you're playing, and then pressing the full chord down again, and just kind of just doing that and feeling the rhythm while you're playing the left hand. So I'll just show you one more time. You can mix it up if you want. It doesn't have to be the last note. Sometimes I change. There's no right or wrong, really. Just kind of gently tap away, especially for the start, because the instrumental track, it kind of seeps in, and if you want to try and copy that on the piano, it's best to play that very soft at the start. So that's part one of the intro that I'm calling it anyway. Part two is pretty easy. It's just replacing this first chord of E, replace that with C sharp minor, which is, this is how you play it actually, first of all. So you can see that second part is literally the same, except you're playing C sharp minor instead of the first E chord. So just really slowly it goes like this. And then resting back on E. You'll notice I did something slightly different. I pressed this A sharp note. Yeah, I don't know why. I've just done that in my version. I think it does replicate something in the instrumental track. So you just press that right before you jump to the B chord. So you now know pretty much the full intro. The parts joined together, I'll play it real quick. So what I do is I would just keep practicing that until you have that nailed. And once you have that, then the whole rest of the song is going to be a lot easier. So for the structure of the intro, this particularly is probably not that accurate to the original, but this is just the way I play it. If you're interested, you can make up your own way. But this is how I kind of thought the original instrumental did it. You start off with part one of the intro, but very lightly. And then you rest there. And then pretty much we kind of go back and just do one whole intro piece, part one and two then. Still kind of soft though. And then just hang that. And then we do that all again, but a bit louder. But just before the second part, I'm doing this little lick. That's definitely in the instrumental at the start. And that's just A sharp, B, and G sharp. Just before you get into the second part to C sharp minor. And then the verse starts right there. So in a way, what I kind of identified as part two of the introduction gets cut a bit short, and the verses start. So this is the way I've kind of just split it up in my head, because just to me the track just seems like it's kind of layering back and forth. I think it's really cool how it does that. It seems a bit confusing when you're trying to like learn a proper structure, especially if you're just used to the standard like intro, verse, chorus, verse, blah blah. So yeah, at least you know the intro now. So the way I've split this up is there's kind of two types of verses that I found that I split up, one being verse A and one verse B. They both use the same chords, and one tip I found pretty useful to remember is whenever the vocals stop, so pretty much the right hand melody, whenever that stops, you end up playing the second part of the introduction, so the C minor, and then back in. And you'll know what I mean by that in a second. So for now, I think I'll play the chords with the left hand and then the main verse melody with the right hand, just really slowly, so you can follow along. So you start off with the B chord. So focus on the left hand for now. Almost got confused there, but it goes from E, stays on E for a while, then it goes to F sharp, up to B, and then back down to E. So I'll play it with the right hand melody and the left hand together pretty slowly. If you want to replay this part, it'll be pretty useful. Maybe watch it once, just watching the left hand, and the second time watch it with the right hand. So it's... And after that bit, you just play the second part of the introduction. And then it cuts right in to another kind of verse A. Then again, part two of the intro. And instead of going into another verse A, you'll notice there the song switches up, and that's where I've called this verse B, because it's another verse, it's just a bit different. So if you get familiar with those notes, first of all, slow it down if you have to. And the way I play this verse, really, I'm using the same pattern that we discussed earlier with the left hand, so just a kind of a light, that type of thing. Nothing too heavy, I think. Sorry. Also, like I say in a lot of my videos, I've given you the single melody notes, but what I like to do is play notes that are in whatever chord we're in, if that makes sense. To say we're in the chord E major here, I'm playing the notes E and G sharp just to harmonize with the E chord. And then for F, I'm playing F sharp. And then for B, I can play B. For E major. So play around with that. That's just a handy tip for any song, really. So whatever chord you're in, figure out what notes you're playing, and then you can also play that with the right hand, but make sure that the main melody of the verses are the ones that stick out. And often a good tip is if you keep the main melody as the highest note that you're playing on the right hand, and it will often just stick out naturally more than the other low notes. Also with the dynamics then, I like to kind of start off very soft with these verses and then go generally louder when you get into the chord B, and then bring it right back down then again towards the end when you go back down to E. So like this. And then you can play it loud or soft. This I usually play that fairly loud and then bring it right back down to the verses again. So make sure you know that verse A before going into verse B. The good thing about verse B is it uses the same chords, so just B, E, and F sharp again, but obviously the right hand melody is a lot different. So I'll play that slowly for you now. So say we're on the Beyond Love part. The way verse B works in the left hand, so in terms of the chords, it's the same, except instead of going initially to straight from E to F sharp, I go from E quickly to B, then to F sharp, and then to B again, and then back down to E. So it's the same, except the only difference is instead of initially going from E straight to F sharp, we're just going from E quickly to B, then to F sharp, then to B again, and then back down to E. So I'll show you what that sounds like with the right hand. So the part where it says Beyond Love first. And then that repeats twice. And again, you can kind of use the same tips as what we were saying about verse A. So, for instance, the left hand pattern is going to be the same. Still use some of the notes that you're using for whatever chord you're on. So it's like... play around with it, there's no right or wrong again. Just figure out what chords you're on and then what notes they have, and then you can just use that with your right hand. But again, just keep in mind to make sure the right hand melody is the one that sticks out. The whole verse B kind of just goes like this then. This is how I played the whole verse B. And then it's into what I call the chorus. You'll notice one thing I was doing with the left hand was just kind of pressing down a low root note the odd time. I just do this for a bit of difference, and to maybe gradually make it a bit louder. It creates a bit of an impact whenever you just bang down like a low root note when you're playing. So notice I've also switched up the left hand routine slightly, where I'm playing kind of octaves. So still, say for F sharp, I'm playing, instead of just the usual F sharp, A sharp, C sharp, I'm also adding another F sharp in there, and I'm sometimes just doing a little arpeggio, but it's nothing too major, so you can add that as well when you're playing it. Now it's on to what I'm calling the chorus, and again, all of these names that I'm given, like verse A, verse B, chorus, they probably mean nothing to beach house themselves. I don't know. I'm just calling it these so that it's easier for us to learn it, really. So the chorus that I have here now is the bit that goes, "We really want to know." And again, the chords are the same, just B, F sharp, E, just a different melody. It is really nice how there is so many melodies going on with this, but then the chords kind of stay the same. Beach house do that a lot, and the way that it's all kind of layered and weaving over each other, it makes it hard to identify a structure, but it's probably what makes the song really good. Straight after verse B, you don't go into that C minor thing like the verse A does. What you do is you go into this chorus part, this "we really want to know" part, which is still resting on E. So this chorus uses the same exact chords that we do in verse A. So it goes from E to F sharp, B, and then back down to E. So it's the same thing of kind of just starting on E, rising a bit, you raise the dynamics, and then you just kind of slow it down and quieten it down when you're coming to the end of the phrase back to E. So I'll play with the right hand melody notes here. And that's, I think, one phase of the chorus, but then at this point in the song that repeats, just exactly that. And again, I think the way I'm playing it, same tips I'm using for the verses, play notes of the chords that you're in. Since it's a chorus, I'm using octaves, and I don't think I'm actually playing other notes rather than the single notes, because I think with this bit I found it muddied it up slightly. So I'm only doing kind of light arpeggios in the left hand and not playing too loud, keeping it light enough, but significantly louder than the verses anyway. And you notice what I do sometimes for the choruses, especially when I'm playing the main melody notes in the right hand and there's a space in the vocals where there's nothing, I often just help the left hand out and play whatever chord we're on. So to give the example again, just here, I'm just playing F sharp in different ways. Another tip to make it a bit more kind of flowing is, instead of just pressing down the block chords like that, kind of give them a bit of a glide. So start from the left and then end up to the right. It's really small, but in a song like this especially, I think it helps. So after that chorus, then it goes into verse A, and in my cover I'm playing it a bit louder than I was playing verse A at the very start, since it's a bit later on into the song and the whole song kind of is building up with all the layers and synths. So we're just going to go into verse A again. So one thing then about this part, so this is where the structure is just a bit kind of messy. You play verse A like I did there, and you'll notice even though it's a bit louder, I'm still doing that with the dynamics where you start off kind of quietly and then so usually before we went straight into this progression, and what we do here now, we're playing the words we really want to know beyond love. This is where this kind of comes in handy, where you can kind of follow. We're on verse A there, and then it's straight into the chorus. So what I've done here is I've played the C sharp minor chord still and mixed it in with the chorus. So you're playing C sharp minor and then landing on F major as we do the chorus usually, and then we start going the words beyond love. So it's the same as what we'd usually do for the chorus, except I've replaced the first E with C sharp minor. That's what I've done anyway. Again, it's probably not identical to the original song, but I think it's really nice. And what you notice I did there as well, because this is, I think, the main point of the song. The words beyond love, they come up before, but I think I took this as it kind of should emphasize those words like at this point in the song. So to do that, I kind of did octaves as usual. But then instead of just doing the B note like we've done previously, I put in E and G sharp on the right hand to harmonize with E major. We're almost there. So after that, then it goes into verse B again, where we are on the chord of E. When it goes beyond love, it stays in the chord E. And from there we go straight into verse B. So that is verse B again, but it has the words beyond love in it, which wasn't the case a while ago, but it's the same pace and the same chords and everything, and pretty much the same right hand melody as verse B, but just the words are different. And from there we go into the chorus again. So this is at the end of the song, just before the outro. We're still resting on E at this point, and then it goes into right there, we just do a normal introduction chorus. You can choose to end it however way you want. I don't know, a cool way to do it maybe is just to do a light B major chord, because that's the key of it. You can also just end literally on that riff, kind of make it a bit unfinished that way. So it's up to you. The usual way is to just do a soft B major. Don't go into this thing like some songs would finish like, because it's really not the type of song to do that. But yeah, that's literally the whole structure of it. So again, I'd recommend just having this in front of you and even just play to those chords. Thanks for watching, and if you have a song in mind that you really want to know how to play, let me know about that, because I'd love to help further. Honestly, sometimes I think I need to be pushed into making more of these because it's not a full-time thing. Follow me on social media as well. It could motivate me more to grow this channel. Thanks again.